Hello everyone, this is Mr. Everett, and for the start of this short mini lesson, I want to show you something that for many of your great-grandparents would absolutely blow their minds. Alright, Mr. Everett, what was that? What was that madness? What you were just seeing was a classic World War II air raid siren. Now, many of your great-grandparents, and certainly including my own grandfather, heard that back in the day, and it was a warning that there were bombers moving in that you had to get to cover as soon as you could or risk your very life. Now, a little serious to start with, but I think you'll appreciate this next video all the more. See if you can make the connection here. I think that's about enough to understand the general point here. Yes, that was a real child's voice, perfectly compared to a World War II air raid siren, tying into today with the mini lesson of using figurative language effectively. So, it's been a while. You might say, what is figurative language? Simile, comparison using like or as. Metaphor, simply saying this is that. Personification, making something that is not alive seem as though it has lifelike, especially human characteristics. Idiom, everyday sayings. Onomatopoeia is just bang, boom, crash, that sort of thing. So, by the end of today, I would like you to be able to use figurative language to compare similar attributes between ideas. And that's exactly what you just saw. If I was to put that last video into language, it would just look like this. The furious child's screech was an air raid siren. And having heard an air raid siren, you totally get it. You can hear that high-pitched, shrill screeching. But often, when we use figurative language, instead of actually using something that fits, we use something that just kind of fits. Let me give you an example. The murderer crept closer, grinning an evil smile as he tapped the knife against the edge of the wall. With a last gasp, I leapt over the fence and ran like a cheetah. So, you hear this a lot, right? Ran like a cheetah. You hear it all the time. But sometimes it can fit. Sometimes it absolutely doesn't. Let's look at something here. Figurative language should have lots in common with what you're showing. So a cheetah and this character who's running, they're both fast, sure. But a cheetah is a hunter. It's confident, it's a killer, it's going after something. This character is prey. They're running away from something, so when you say fast as a cheetah, all you get is this little tiny concept of fast without anything else actually fitting. So consider this. What animal, if you're trying to make a comparison here, might make more sense to use? If you're trying to compare the idea of this prey running away, being super scared, possibly even being helpless, why not try something like a baby gazelle? Alright, so if you do that, if I say I last gasped, I leapt over the fence, ran like a gazelle with a cheetah racing after it, well, this fits so much better because now both the character and the baby gazelle have the same sort of attribute. They're prey, they're running away, they're scared, they're somewhat helpless. Let's look at another example here. Say we're writing a poem or something, maybe about your house when you were a kid, and you say the house was gigantic. It was as big as, well, one that comes up, an elephant. So we often use the idea of an elephant for being big, sure, but does it fit here? Hardly. The house is large, but it's not alive. It's a place where people stay or they go to be there. An elephant is big, but it's literally not as big as a house, and it is alive. So consider, what other things, not alive, maybe even some place that people go, could we use to compare here? Something like maybe a football field. Again, oh yeah, you could see the idea of a house being as big as a football field. What about a hotel? Something like that. You could see that as well. So, I want you to try this. Just take a little time. If I say the noise from the crowd was incredibly loud, it, and you do whatever comparison you want here. But the thing is, if you're trying to compare something to the crowd's noise, one is it's very loud, but two, it's not stopping. It's not one thing. Like if I said, oh, it was as loud as a gunshot. A gunshot happens once. So you need something that's going to continue on. So ponder for a moment. What other things could be very loud, continuous? The air raid siren idea might work. Think if there's any other loud, roaring noises. Take a moment. Alright, here's a couple I came with off the top of my head here. It could be personification or a simile. It was as if the noise itself was yelling at the top of its lungs. Make it seem alive. Metaphor, a little easier, right? It was thunder in the stands. Simile, it was as loud as a lion roaring across the plains. Idiom, the everyday sayings, right? For crying out loud, you got miles and miles. These all are stronger than just, say, a basic one. Oh, loud as a gunshot. How about this? One more time. If you said she seemed to carry everything in her heavy purse, it. Now you're trying to compare something that's full of items and that's heavy. What other things could you use here that would get that sort of idea across? Take a moment, consider. Alright, here's a couple examples here. She seemed to carry everything in her heavy purse. You could say it was as heavy, classic one, as a bag of rocks. It was a bag of rocks. Personification, it yanked her down to the ground with every step. Idiom, had practically everything under the sun in it. You get the concept. Let's do one last one and wrap it up. So, say, my dog's always excited to see me, which is true because she's adorable. Jumping at the door when I get home. Think, if a dog is excited, is jumpy, that sort of thing, what could you do to get this idea across? Essentially, no matter what you pick, as long as it truly fits, your figurative language is on track. Everyone, have a great rest of your week, and I'm sure I'll see you for another mini lesson shortly.